Hello and welcome to No Time to Quest. My name is Jay, and one of the co-founders of Blizzard is forming a new studio. Well, actually, they're forming a company which is then going to have two studios. And if I'm honest, it's very unlikely that I think that these games will be an MMO, or at least maybe the first game won't be an MMO because an MMO is such a big project to take on. But I do think, in this day and age, it's interesting because it's ex-Blizzard employees. Obviously, they didn't make World of Warcraft, and a lot of games do have these MMO elements. So let's have a look at the news. So Mike Morhaime, I'm not 100% sure how you say his name, so do forgive me, but you probably recognize him from. I like that didn't actually work. You probably recognize him from like BlizzCons and stuff like that. I personally do. I don't really follow staff. It's not something I really pay too much attention to. But he left. I think they left in Blizzard. I think maybe last year, but I'm not 100% sure. And then I think Jay Allen took over. But anyway, yeah. So they're forming a company called Dreamhaven, which is a nice name. And I've got to say that this picture very nice. And then in that, there's going to be two studios, which is Moonshot Games and Secret Door. Moonshot's an interesting phrase if you're in the UK at the minute. But yeah, so the Moonshot's going to have the bigger games, probably the Moonshot games, and Secret Door are going to have the small games. And there's quite a few ex-Blizzard employees. I don't really know any of the names, but Jason Chayes, Chris Sigati, etc. So they did take a few pot shots at Blizzard, talking about having creative control and that kind of stuff over the decisions, and so that's going to be interesting. That's why they said they're not. There was one key line, which if I can find it, which is we're not in a hurry to go out and get funding because the most important thing to us, the most important thing is to make sure we retain control over the company's decision making. So I think it's not like a direct shot at Blizzard, but it's almost there, and yeah, we'll have to wait and see what they do. Fantasy games are hinted at, looking at the name of the company. Other than that, I don't really think we get that much information here. And the fact that they've literally just started, I think they had a non-compete agreement up until April this year, basically. So, we're not getting anything soon. It's just interesting to see, another company form up that could, in theory, be maybe another company, maybe a big company like Microsoft or something might come in and try and actually compete with World of Warcraft. Although they've just bought Bethesda, which have a ESO anyway, but whatever. But yeah, that's interesting. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. In the short term, it doesn't mean anything. In the long term, who really knows? It's interesting. You see a lot of ex-Blizzard staff and stuff like that trying to do stuff, and obviously a lot of them, how to say this nicely, if they hadn't have worked for Blizzard, you wouldn't care about this, if that makes sense. The fact that they worked for Blizzard and created such iconic IPs and stuff like that really gives the importance to this kind of stuff happening. And a new company that seems to have a decent lead in charge and saying all the right things now. We'll have to wait and see the games. I think we can speculate the games will probably be an RTS or an RPG or something like that in the fantasy world. So yeah, it's interesting, and we'll have to wait and see how it goes. Obviously, Shadowlands, the expansion, obviously we know that's coming out on the 27th. We think the pre-patch is coming out, we think next week. Let me just double check the days. I'm recording this on Wednesday the 23rd, probably within 2 weeks. So I'm really tempted to dive in. Can't quite make my mind up. I am a little bit on the fence to that one, and but I am craving something. And WoW Classic nearly got me, but not quite. So yeah, some Blizzard employees, ex-Blizzard employees, some, the big man himself, one of the big men, the co-founders of the company, starting their own company, own gaming studio, and that's just good to see. You never really know if they're going to be small games, indie games, or if we're going to see investment and it's going to be a big game. I wouldn't even care to guess at this point. Have a most beautiful day. Goodbye.